Hi guys, how are you? So let's get started to talk about blueprint. Okay, I created a file here using the first person template of Unreal so that we could analyze some things here after we can get back to the project of the house. Nice. So uh, let's talk about blueprint. What is that? What does it mean? Well, blueprint is a programming language, a visual programming language, and Unreal Engine is based on uh, programming language C++. And this C++ is based on command lines in texts. I'm gonna open for you here. I prepared a blueprint here, actually a file of C++, so that I can show you guys, all right, what it is. All right, so to create um, some programming in C++, you need an editor, a texture editor, okay? Actually, it is a specific editor, okay, that you can use. In this case, the Visual Studio uh, that I opened here. All right, it's another software, so this programming here. Okay, so C++ is a programming language, okay, with command lines. There is a logic here. We're not going to talk about it, but I just wanted to show you how it looks like, the C++, all right, just showing. And it's not accessible, this language, you have to know all this process to do any type of programming, everything that is made on Unreal is based on this language, uh, by thinking about it to make it more like accessible for end user of Unreal and artist, to create the programming. It was created the blueprint, that is, let me close it here because I don't need this anymore. That is the like converting everything that we saw of command lines, text, to a visual language, that is very similar with the language of creating materials, the editor of materials. I'm gonna open here the first person blueprint here so that we can take a look. So here we can see it's very similar with the editor of materials. It's the same logic. There are some nodes here. We can connect them, to create the command lines. So basically, blueprint is this. It has transformed everything that was a command line in a visual language. That is way easier to build. For example, the blueprints. So basically, that's it. The blueprint. All right. So let's create a blueprint, a new one. Okay. Let me save here in the content because it is just a test here. All right. I'm going to create a blueprint from the scratch, from scratch, from the zero, from the beginning. So to create the uh, blueprint, right button here, select blueprint class. It's going to open this window. Here we have the types of blueprints. We have a lot of things here, and like actor, character. So basically, we're gonna use the actor, right? There are blueprints that have to be in the scene. They are actors of the scene. As static mesh is an actor, the blueprint is also an actor. So um, let's see. All right, so here we have a blueprint, right? Double click on it to see uh, what it shows. All right, that's the interface of the blueprint. It's like um, a new file, let's say a new project, uh, because there are all the, details of Unreal, viewport, the programming language and everything. Nice. So let's talk about this window. So here we have the normal windows. We have these other options here. We have the compile button, and this compile, after you finish the programming, you come here and you have to click on compile. So it's gonna analyze what you did, and it's gonna show the results down here. So if there is some error, it's gonna appear here, okay? Or some message or something like that, that it's okay, it's gonna appear here, okay? So we're gonna use this button a lot, okay? Every time you make a change, you have to compile. And the save, you can save the blueprint, because it's gonna save in our content browser, it doesn't save in the scene. So if you save any change on blueprint, if you close the file and you don't save it, the changes are gonna be done, So yeah, we have other things here that we're not gonna talk about in this module, and here the play button as we are used to, okay? Nice. Here we have an important window, the components, Blueprint is made of the programming and for the components, that we can add or not, to this blueprint. So for example, if I have a blueprint of a door, I need to attach the mesh of the door inside the blueprint. So here we have this window of viewport, the same viewport that we have in the menu, So same commands, the same way that you navigate on Unreal, you can navigate here. So if you click here, you're gonna see that you have a lot of things, a lot of components here, static mesh, some like plane cube, some actors, and other things here, We're gonna talk about them, some of them, during our module, right? So here we have the programming part, some events here we're gonna talk about some of them, and the variables, and we also are gonna talk about this, this side here. If I select anything here, it's gonna show the details, okay, as it is in Unreal, normally. Nice. Here we have some other things like this window, this palette. Maybe it's not enabled for you, but you can go here, window in palette. All right. Here we have commands, and here we have all the library of commands and everything. Nice. What else we have here? Our, for example, viewport, as in Unreal. This construction, that is a concept we're not gonna talk about in our module of blueprint, but it's like a programming, before the play, because everything that you makes of programming, it goes from where you press play, so it's like a pre-programming before the play, but we're not gonna talk about it, okay, because we don't use that, on ArcViz a lot. And the main one is the window of event graph. Here we have some nodes, that were put here. The event begin play, the other one here, and this one here. I'm gonna delete these two because we're not gonna use them, and I'm gonna explain about these nodes, okay? The nodes, they are very similar to the materials. We can put the nodes and then we can link them. The only difference is this one. We call it flux control. So it's an arrow. So things in Unreal of Blueprint, they happen from the left to the right, When you press play, it's gonna run, and then it's gonna make like a lot of links, So I'm gonna put, like, for example, this one. Let's see. There's a message on the screen. Okay, so this node is very important. It is a event begin play, So when you press play, it's gonna activate this. All right, so what's gonna happen? Well, a very important concept here is the trigger. Uh, all the programming, all the flow that you're gonna create, it needs to have a trigger, like when it's gonna get started. You have to tell Unreal when it's gonna get started, okay? So this one is the main one, that is the more basic. So when we press play, it's gonna start. Very simple, all right? We're gonna have a lot of types of triggers on Unreal. We're gonna talk about some of them. For example, when the character leans on something or when you click on something, these are the triggers, So it's here, there's a play, and there's the sequence of the flow. It goes to this knot, and it's gonna run here. If I have another knot, for example, this one, it's gonna go here and run here, okay? A new sequence. So always from the left to the right, okay, in Blueprint. Nice. Let me delete this here. So this is the concept of trigger flow. Okay, this trigger is very important. All right, so every time if you click with the right button here, you're gonna open this list with all types of knots that you can have. For example, actor, add component, a lot of things here. Let's suppose I'm gonna put an event here of actor. For example, destroy actor. So here we have a knot, all right, to destroy the actor in the scene. So there's the flow and another information here. All right. Here you can, for example, have the library, the list of knots, okay? A very important concept is this context sensitive. When you turn it off, it shows all the knots that are available on Unreal. It doesn't matter if that makes sense or not, for your flow. And when you turn it on like this, it's gonna show only the knots that make sense for you, for your flow. We're gonna get back to this concept. Don't worry about it. Well, we can click and drag, Control C plus Control V. Those options also work here. I can click and drag here. We can duplicate, for example, on Unreal 4, it was Control plus W. Here on Unreal 5, it's Control plus D. All right, that can duplicate the knots. All right, nice. The navigation here, it also works with the scrolling of your mouse. You can zoom in and zoom out, and with the right button, I can do this, click and drag like this. Nice. Here I can, to link the knots, I can do it like this. Here there are informations, each one has its information. They are kind of similar, but each knot has its thing, We're going to talk about it during the course. And also you can do it as it was done in materials, the creation of materials. All right, if I want to connect, for example, this link, I press Alt and click on it. So yeah, it deletes this link, To get a new knot, right button, and I can type this here, or if I want to discover something that is similar, for example, actor here, we have a lot of things here. Or you can click here, click and drag, and then you can choose the knots that you want. And here's the concept of the context sensitive, because the knot that it came from the flow, it's gonna show the other knots that make sense in this flow. If I turn it off, it's gonna show everything. It doesn't matter if it works or not. If it's a knot that is not compatible with that, it's not gonna connect. But when we click here, it's better, we use with this context sensitive turned on, because it makes sense to connect things that are going to be compatible. For example, look, I click and drag it. Look, the list here, the amount of knots here. This one is way bigger. Now I'm gonna put it in here, and I'm gonna turn it off, the context sensitive. It shows everything. This list is huge, but not everything that is here is gonna be compatible. Let's, for example, I'm gonna select this. It doesn't connect, because it doesn't make sense, so, oh, but if I have the context sensitive turned on, it's gonna show, let's see, this one. Look, you see it is? Yeah, it is compatible. So this knot is compatible. So this is the concept of context sensitive. So basically, that's what we had to talk about, in general, about blueprint and how to navigate on this. And after doing the course, we're gonna talk more, about details and everything. Nice. So let's see what else. The variable, the concept of variable. So when you have this link, these knots here, when I have this pin here, for example, it connects the variable of any type. So let's take, for example, if I go here, variables, here I have the variables, some variables. So it's an information. Let's see. Normally we have a reference of something. It is just a name that is connected from a pin to another pin. So it's a knot of the type variable. You can create variables, If you click here, plus, I can add a new variable, for example. And I'm gonna click and drag here. I'm gonna use the get here. The get takes the variable here and put in my programming. Then I can connect like this, in some place. You're gonna realize that some things have different colors. For example, here the type of knot, the type of connection, and here this red is a variable that it's not gonna connect in a pin that is blue. So you're gonna need to have a variable that has a pin that is red. Let me put an example here so that you can see. It's a knot of the red type, so I can connect the red into the red. Red and blue? No, I cannot. So we're gonna see during the course examples of variables. But basically, variables are information that are isolated, like name, number, anything like that is gonna, go with the knots. And there starts here. Nice. Well, what else we can talk? Well, the concept of compile. We talked about the button, but I didn't show you. So, for example, here, if I click on this, it's gonna compile. Look, it's gonna do the analysis, and it's gonna show result. Look, compile of new blueprint successful. Then it gets green. Yeah, it's compiled, and I can save this. Perfect. So that's it. I wanted to talk about it, in general, of the interface and how we can create a blueprint from scratch, from the beginning. I'm gonna close it here. Okay, so the blueprints that we're gonna create or put in the scene, they are here in our content browser. Okay, we're gonna organize them in folders and everything. Okay, so now I wanted to talk about another type of blueprint that doesn't appear on our content browser, and it's important. That is the blueprint of the level. Every level has its blueprint. That is basically like, the level is basically a huge blueprint. It's like that. And basically, it works. For example, let me explain. For each level that you can have different programmings. How can I access this? I go here, I click here, and I open here, open level blueprint. So it's gonna open this blueprint here. What's the difference? We don't have the viewport window, because the viewport of the level editor is the scene. So all the elements that are here, they are added into the scene. They are elements of the editor. Okay. So here uh, we have the variables, and you will not have the viewport here, but we can add functions or commands here as well. Okay. What's the difference about adding commands in the level editor or creating a blueprint? Well, for Unreal, it's not different. There is no difference because, as we talked, this is more visual. Uh, Unreal is gonna put it there in the programming, and that's gonna work. However, to organize, it's better if we choose blueprints, because in the ArcVis we reuse a lot of things. For example, you make a blueprint of opening door uh, in a project that you are developing. Tomorrow, are we gonna develop the same project? No, you can you can just migrate from one project to another project. If you do this programming in the level editor, you're gonna have to migrate out the level, the whole level, with everything that is inside. And after you can add what you want. But it's a lot of work, and sometimes you just want a blueprint. So in this case, it's easier if you migrate only the blueprint that you need in your new project. So use the blueprint of the type actor. So that's it, guys. It was a basic class, just to know about blueprint. And in the next class, we're gonna start, really to talk about blueprints. How to create blueprints, how to put in the scene, make changes. So yeah, that's it. I see you in the next class.